Right, welcome. Good afternoon, everybody, to today, Monday, the 30th of March, a live trading London to New York crossover with the Harmonic Scanner. I'm just going to start sharing the screen and let's get started. Just have a look at what it's saying in there. USD CAD was a sell. But it's now turned to buy, so we could have a look at that. And then there was one earlier on Euro GBP, GJ. People are talking about, oh gosh, there's lots going on. Quite a lot of things there. It was the Euro GBP that I caught up with earlier on, which had turned the other way apparently, so I was interested in that. So welcome everybody. I'm going to get the extended desktop, put my other screen onto the left, then I can see who's on and get that better organized. So please do feel free to ask questions. I will stop a little bit early towards the end so we don't interrupt Sharon's session starting at 2 p.m. UK time. And you can ask questions, or we can go over anything that is a little bit more intermediate. So if you're in the 7-day free trial, please make the most of your time with us, and you will come into this is the members group, the Ninja Forex Traders, and we have a very good units section in here. Please go through the units and you'll speed up your trading confidence and ability to make judgments on trades that you're taking. So if you're in the free trial, then you'll come into the financial freedom group. That's this one here. Please watch Paul's introduction video. He did a very good session this morning going through a refinement that we've got on our Be Your Own Bank, BYOB main strategy that we use, which is really good. Which just lines up a simple dot with an up or down triangle, so that helps you understand very clearly when to get into a trade. So let's go over and look at Forex Factory. We always look at this whenever we start to take a trade, so there's nothing on today that we need to be aware of. There's lots of red flag news on the American dollar, USD, American dollar later in the week. So what I want to do is just show you, I did some chart setups last night for the beginning of the week. When you join, we have im.center. So you come into here and there's a very good library of information. Go through it at your leisure. If you're very new to trading, then go through FRX 100 series. It's the basics of what Forex is, who the market players are, you know, the basic information that you need in order to learn how to trade. That you'll find that under Academies on the left-hand menu. And this is what you're paying for all these strategies. Vibrata is the one which shows volume bursts, very accurate programming, artificial intelligence by the designer Steve Hooley, and that spits out about 80 trade ideas a day, and that's the basis of Be Your Own Bank, BYOB. I use the Harmonics, which is free with the Platinum package. So come on to the Harmonics, and this charts the reversal points in the market. And then on the hourly, there's the Euro GBP one that's just come up. I'll just usually start with Trader's Way because that is the main feed for the Harmonic Scanner. So make sure the time zone is local to you. I'm outside Paris, so it's UTC +2 for me. And then let me have a look, because this one I drew up last night. Euro, oh no, that's Euro GBP. Not sure I drew that one up, so I have a quick look at that. because it's got the D point formed, so you can take that as a 25 to life strategy. Euro USD. Now I took GJ last night and I drew up Euro USD and USD CAD. So we'll have a quick look at what those are doing, how they played out. I'm going to write down what these points are. So H1 Euro GBP. A minute. The X point, let me just see if I can move that. The X point is the 9th of the 3rd at 10. A, the 19th of the 3rd at 02. B, 20th of the 3rd at 1500. C, 23rd of the 3rd at 1800. And the D point there, 30th of the 3rd at 1400. Now what we can do is take this trade here. The Harmonic Scanner gives you the trade here. Stop loss entry, take profit 1, take profit 2, take profit 3. So I'm going to write those down so that we can compare how it matches up to the precise entry that I use on the 1 minute chart, because that can help you reduce your stop loss, and therefore the stop loss is acting as your profit regulator if you don't have to have such a big stop loss. And as soon as you can move your stop loss to stop profit, i.e. 1 to 1.5, 2 pips in profit, then you've got a risk-free trade, and that's you know, enormously helpful, obviously, to take away the stress of trading. So once you've plotted the numbers, it's plotting the reversal points. So we're going to come over. I don't think I've got it open up here. Yes, I have. Euro GBP. Here it is. Just give that a moment to load. And if you want to follow me on TradingView, there's an alert going off, then I'm now one of the streamers on TradingView. I just started last night, so plotting some of the beginning of the week charts. So if you follow me as Sarah Ross on TradingView, then you can catch some of my live streams if you want to. So let's come over to Euro GBP, go on to the same time frame, so 1 hourly. And the reason I use the 1 hourly, I very rarely use the M15, the 15-minute time frame on the Harmonic Scanner, because the bigger the scan, the more powerful they are. I'm just going to hide a lot of these lines. Just give it a moment to load. So it doesn't look like some kind of, I can take that off. Tidy up the chart, then you don't get confused with things. You can just use the I button to hide things and bring them up later on, or you can dull them out on the color. Okay, so that's hidden a lot of those where price currently is. I'll just see, there it is up here. And let me take that one out as well and hide the quarter theory and the 62. Then we've got a clean chart. It's just come out of that scan up there. Hide that one. Okay, so once you've got that there, you're looking for a low point, because this is a buy scan. So the X will be down here. You're looking for low to high to low to high to low, and that's the 5 reversal points in the market. So we're going to look for, try and, if I can move that out of my way. So the first one is the 9th of the 3rd. You can do this in two ways. You can draw brush marks. So we'll do it like that today. So I'll show it different. There's not a right or wrong to it. You can either look visually or use the brush mark and then clean them up later. So we'll use the brush mark. 9th of the 3rd at 10 is going to be that one there, the low point. The 19th of the 3rd at 02, so come up to the next high point, which is going to be probably up here. That's there. And then the next low point, the 20th of the 3rd at 15, which is going to be that one. So you can see there's your next low point. The 23rd of the 3rd at 18, which is going to be that one there. And then there's your D point, the 30th of the 3rd at 1400. So the reason I like to keep the scans on the scanner is because then I've got them over a period of time, whereas on the harmonic scanner, they'll disappear off the end and then they're gone. So you're only taking one trade off this D point. By drawing them over, it can be a little bit fiddly, but you've then got them forever and you can draw levels on them, or you can do what I do, which is a pitchfork. And if you get past the fiddly bit, then they're valid. They're usually valid forever. So come to the scanner, the 5 reversal points on the left-hand menu, click on that, click on the top one. You've now got 5 points held on your mouse. So line it up, and that's at 10. Click once, otherwise you're going to be clicking over the same spot. 19th of the 3rd at 02, that one up there, make sure it's lined up. Put the magnet on the left-hand menu. You can see it highlighted in blue. Then it will suck to the end of the wick. So there's, it must be always at the end of the wick. That's your B point. 20th of the 3rd at 15, 23rd at 1800, and then down to the D point here. There we are. Oh, that's it there at 1400 there. Oh, no, sorry. That's it. Okay. So once you've got that on, what I normally do is then clear up the brush marks, because I like to keep it tidy. You don't need more things on your charts than necessary. Keep things simple. Don't have too many indicators. 4 or 5 is more than sufficient. Otherwise you get analysis paralysis and you just kind of can't. It's like being when first time I drove in France after many, many years, and I was coming to move over here, and I got to Limoges, quite a big city at a roundabout, and I've been fine all the way down. And then I just froze at the roundabout. You know, your brain gets a bit muddled. And charts can be a bit like that. If you're trying to look at indicators, oh, I'm looking at Bollinger Bands. Oh, I think I'll look at the Fibonacci's on the pitchforks. Oh, you know, and you start to look at so many things and you think, well, I can't work out now which way I'm meant to be going on the trade. So 4 or 5 indicators is enough to make a decision. Sometimes I'll always go for 3 confirmations, one of which must be a pitchfork touch unless it's a bigger scan. We can go through that. And sometimes, like last night on GJ, I took a trade with only 2 confirmations. Hopefully I'll get time to show you that briefly. And that's because I could see the orange, the 62 EMA crossed over the 15-minute one, 1 minute across the 15. The momentum of the market was there. And that was enough to take that trade. So come over here to your pitchfork up here. Sorry, wrong one. There, top one. And keep the magnet on. Click on X to C to D. That just slipped off there. And I usually make my latest one all the same color. I like to have them all in white on the latest scan. Then I don't get muddled up with what lines are crossing what. And I change, once the new scan becomes an old one, I change it to either green or purple. So now you've got your pitchfork on. These are the settings. You can take a screenshot of that. I just have the 0.5, 1, and then the Fibonacci's, these outer extensions, which are like Bollinger Bands. They'll ping price back into the scan. That's the 1.618 and the 1.5. So if you can see them come off, if I check those off, there they are, turned off. And that's, so if you want to take a screenshot, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's your settings. And I make the middle line, the median line, unbroken, because then I know I'm just taking, usually in a smaller scan, I'm taking just a buy up into the median point for the best chance of success. And then after that, I'll take buys or sells, except on very big scans. GJ was a big scan, and then I'll be using quarter theory. Otherwise, you'd be waiting forever to get that pitchfork touch before you could take the next trade. So now we come to the only fiddly bit. You have to come down to the 1 minute and make sure that your points are on accurately. And then I lock them on. I did have a notice on Zoom today saying something about bandwidth and bearing with them, blah, blah, blah. So I suppose it's because the whole world's at home on the internet, on their own networks, I don't know. So the nearest one on that, 1400, you want the lowest point. So if you come back to the harmonic scanner, this is an hourly. So you can see it's just one candle, and that says 1400. So if you come down to the 1 minute, and this is how we get the precise entry on the 1 minute chart, you can see that it's stuck it there. So you want it on the lowest one. And if you're not sure, you can draw a horizontal line, but we can see that that's the lowest one. So I'm going to put my D point there. And then I'm just going to lock this on while I move it, because otherwise I find in the past, in fact I did it recently, it slipped off. You know, accidentally moving the scan. It's just a bit slow because we're on Zoom. How's everyone doing today? Paul often says that I sound like I'm in my own little world. Well, I'm not really. Once I've got the extended desktop, then I'll be able to see you all on chat, get myself organized a bit better. I've asked my IT man to log in on TeamViewer this week and help me with that. So I'll dig out my other computer and bring it in from the other office, my old office, which was a bedroom. Just put that on. You see how it's not on now. It does matter. This is how we get the precise entry and the smaller stop losses, because you'll end up what looks like 1 or 2 pips out because you're not exactly on the precise entry point. Will end up about 50, 60, 100 pips out over a year, 6 months or a year. It doesn't mean you're waiting for a trade for 6 months or a year. What it means is that you'll have loads of scans. Harmonic Scanner gives you, I don't know if it's about 80 or 100 new scans a week. I'm not sure the exact, I can't remember the exact figure. But what it means is that when price moves, sometimes it'll move out of a scan for 3 or 4 weeks, and then it'll move back into it. And what it means is you've got multiple trades over time. So it doesn't matter if Vibrata's down or the harmonic scanner isn't working. I've always got a pitchfork that I can find once. And this is why it's important to put them on. Then you know you're confident and you've locked them on. And then all you have to do is go back and check and find some that it has touched the pitchfork to the pip, that you know it has been valid all the way along, and then you know it's still accurate. And it works because it's all based on maths, it's all based on Fibonacci. So you've got Fibonacci built into the pitchforks as indeed into the harmonic scanner, which is what makes them so deadly accurate. And just come down to the last one. So I won't always go through and do this, but I thought we'd start the week by showing you how to do it, because I know on the live trading schedule, we've now put on what everybody's doing, and I'm the only one on the live schedule that's doing pitchforks. And someone said to me when we were discussing the live schedule, well, why don't you learn BYOB? And I said, well, because this is visually how I look at charts. This is what's worked for me very successfully, particularly over the last year. Been through everything else and not been very successful, and I don't want to change because of that. This is my main strategy, and I like the precise entry. So it's a hybrid strategy where it's a 1 hour time frame analysis, but you're working on the 1 minute entry, and that's how you can get the small stop loss. And that gives me a great deal of comfort, that small stop loss, and that's what I like to work to. So it's your own style of trading, isn't it? You know, some people like 30, 40, 50 pip stop losses, but this isn't going back that far. And the reason is you have to go to the 5 minute. You see the time disappears off the bottom. TradingView will only go back 2 weeks. So I like to stick to the 1 minute chart for entry, and I don't like to stay in trades too long. So you can see how much it's been off here. So we've just got to work out which is the, so it was the 9th of March, and that's slipped to the 6th, so that's not 9th of March at 10 o'clock. So I'm going to put it there. And you can see that's off by quite a way. So that looks good to me. I'll just zoom in for you. I'm not going over there. That's the open of the market, that gap. And that would be too far off because that's, oh, hang on a minute. 9th, there, that's the 6th of March. Here's the 8th. So you want it on the 9th, and that's at 10:15, but there's 60 candles in that 1 hourly one. So that is the lowest point that's nearest to the reference that was given on the hourly. So now come to your objects thingy and just lock that on, because we know that we've got all the points. And then come back to your hourly and just check that it looks good. And then we can see what's happening with this trade.
Did you just set the last ones up on the 5 minute chart?
Yes, because it TradingView will only go back 2 weeks, and that was the 9th of the 3rd, so it stopped giving me the date and time stamp at the bottom. If it does that, then you have to do it on the 5 minute or the nearest one. Sometimes the 15 minute if it's a very big scan that goes right back.
Thank you.
I think my TradingView's glitched because the pitchfork is correct, but the pink pattern, which doesn't really matter, because that's just giving you the shape, that looks off. That looks off to me now. But as I said, it doesn't really matter. So I'm back on the hourly, and I could just.
So Sarah, what time frame do you actually follow the trade with? Is it the hourly? Is it the 5 minute?
I look for the trade set up on the 15 minute, and then I take the entry on the 1 minute, and I follow it then on the 5 or 15 minute.
Okay, because the 1 minute moves rather quickly. So.
Well, it does, but that's your trading style. I don't like to stay in trades very long.
Yeah.
So I only do market execution.
Right. So you enter on the 1 minute, and then it does its thing, and you get out.
Yes, unless it's a longer trade and I can stack in, which I can show you. That's how I stack in risk-free with no stop loss. So I'll show you that in a minute. So I'm just going to move this pattern just so doesn't freak us out. As I say, it's the pitchfork that matters, not the pink pattern. That's just giving you the shape. I don't know why I didn't have that on. So that is accurate. So if I come to the 15-minute, sorry, I am on, oh, hang on a minute. I need that to be on the hourly. Right. So there's our pattern. Does it look the same on here? And come back here. That looks, I think my trading view's glitched on me. That doesn't look the same, does it? Gonna have to check it. So the X on the hourly, that's okay. But that's gone. I'm sure I had it locked on properly. The 19th at 02, that should be down there. The D is correct. The C is correct. The B and the C have slipped. The B and the A have slipped. That's better. So that's why you need to check it. And let me just come down. I had this happen yesterday and last night. I found the system very slow. Slow again. Has anyone got any other questions while I'm doing this? And there's the C. That's fine. So that I don't like the look of. That needs to just pop back on there. Put the padlock on, and I know I thought I'd done that. I know it can't slip. I just want to get up to that A point, and that should be fine. As I say, you can always double check it later on. It doesn't usually take this long to do. It's partly being on Zoom.
Sarah, if you set it up on the hour, then move it on the minute, won't it change it on the hour as well? The pattern.
I've got the setup on the 1 hour, but I'm finding the nearest candle wick on the 1 minute because there are 60 candles making up that one hourly candle, and that's what gives you the precise entry on the 1 minute.
Right.
Does that make sense? It doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't move the pattern on the hourly.
So you're just finding the exact place to the nearest. Where is the nearest one that you find then? Is it to the hour?
I'm on the 1 minute. So if I show you that in Zoom, I'm going for the nearest high point to where I'd drawn it on the 1 hour. So that is that. That's that one there. And then I'll look below here. Just there we are. So if I look below, that timestamp says that's the A point. 19th of the 3rd at 0200 was what the hourly said. But if you look below, it says 0238. So
Right.
it's picked one of the 1 minute candles that's the highest point, and that's why you can get the precise entry on the 1 minute.
Right. So
Yeah.
you find the highest point within that candle then?
Yes, it isn't always the highest point, but it should be. And that's why you sometimes come back here and just have a look to see what candle it is picking up. Is it a bull or a bearish one? You know, which one is it actually picking up? Because although it is always low to high to low to high to low, or vice versa, sometimes the X point or the C point is not at the highest candle deliberately. I don't know why, but I will try and draw it as accurately as possible. And if I'm in doubt, I do pick the lowest one, but not so it's like an hour out, you know, like when I was trying to get it set up properly a minute ago.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to come back down. We'll have a look at the entry now. I'll just take off the, let me just lock it on. So that's all locked on. Pitchfork's locked on. Right. So we're on the 1 minute, and I'm just trying to get that smaller. That's what I mean about my trading view should be letting me take that smaller. We go to the 15 minute. So there it is on the 15 minute. That's looking very nice. So you can tell visually, if you remember a few minutes ago, I looked at it and I said, no, that just doesn't look like how it looked on the scanner. So this is our trade setup on the 15 minute. This is where I look for trade setup. So it's still on the D point. So now I will put on my, these are my other confirmations. So that's the 1 minute 62 moving average, 62 candles. It's taking a different set of 62 candles according to the time frame. So at the moment it's on the 15 minute. So it's measuring a different set on the 15 minute. Let's have a look at it on, say, the 5 minute, which is getting us nearer to the current momentum in the market. It's still pointing downwards. And what's it doing on the 1 minute, which is our current momentum? It's still pointing downwards. So the 1 minute will always tell you the most recent current momentum in the market. That's why I like the 1 minute. And I often don't bother to look at longer time frames, because that's simply an echo of what's happening here. Well, anything that happens on the charts has to happen here first on the 1 minute. That's the current momentum. So I know some people said they got stopped out on this just now. If you come to the 1 minute and looked at this, it would have told you the current momentum with the market is down, because that's even if you use the 50 EMA, it probably tell you similar, because on the 1 minute, current momentum is saying the trend is still down. Okay, so I put that on, and then I put the 15 minute one on, which is the 1 minute EMA, but it saves me coming up to the 15 minute chart. This is the 62 EMA as it would appear on the 15 minute time frame. So once that starts to come up and cross up through the 15 minute, very strong indication for a buy. So if we come over to GBP JPY, which is, I was doing chart setups last night. I don't usually do Asian session, but I was trying out the live streaming on TradingView. So I did actually take this trade, and that's the reason it's got all the scribbles on it, because on the live stream on TradingView, I was telling people on the 15 minute chart what I was looking for in the setup. And it actually did this move, this one. Let me switch on. Why isn't quarters theory showing? Just see if I can get it to come up. Maybe price has moved out of it. Let me put it on the 5 minute, because I can't see why quarters theory isn't coming up, and that was important in this trade. Oh, there it is. Right, let's go back to the 1 minute, see if it stays on. Yeah, that's just took a while to switch itself on. So on this trade last night, on the 1 minute chart, Here's market open. That was the D point. And I drew on the, it disappeared again. Drew on the, I may have to manually show you. There's 133.500, where that blue alert line is quarter theory. And that's the reason I had my blue alert line there, because I was waiting for a break and a retest of quarter theory to take the trade, but it didn't do that. But because the 62 had crossed over the 15-minute, it stalled. And when price stalls like that, it has to make a decision one way or the other. So I got in exactly here, and then I wanted to go to bed. It was by now about 3 in the morning here. I got out after 30 pips, but it actually, that's the next quarter theory down here, 133.00. It not only went on to do the 50, which is why I posted it in our Ninja Forex Traders group, but as you can see, it went on even further, and I drew the channel on that post. So it actually, before it turned, it went 73 pips. You can see it stalled out there. It didn't come down to the next level. I wish a quarter theory would go on. Maybe it's just because the internet's a bit slow. It should come up. So 132 point, I can't tell the, oh, here we are, 133.5 and 0.75. So there's a quarter theory here, exactly where it's stalling out there. So if you were riding this trade down, and you could have stacked in on this one, you could have taken your 20 pips, so 10 pips stop loss. Well, I had 15 pips, sorry, because it's a great GBP pair. I have 15 on GBP pairs because they're so volatile. They're high risk, high reward. You have to make sure you get a good entry on GBP pairs, and then you can get a good reward on them. So you could have stacked in here. Sorry, the system's so slow. Put another short position on here after you've done your 20 pips, so that'll give you your 2 to 1. And if you put your stop loss within the bands of, just annoying that the system's slow, within the bands of here, let me move my, this is the line I use. So if you got in after 20 pips, let me move it here to show you how to stack in using this system for a risk-free second trade. So remember, you're running this one all the way down. So I set it at 20 pips and then stack in here so that your stop loss is within the profit of the other one, and then you can run that down here, and all the time that's still running down, okay? And depending on how you look at your previous highs or where your 62 is, then you give the trade enough room to breathe in case it's going to reverse on you like there. So you don't want to have it too tight, otherwise it would take you out. So you will have done 50 to 70 pips here, all in profit. This is all in profit, and another 50 to 60 pips there. So in a matter of, you had stayed up for this one, in a matter of something like 3 hours, 4 hours, you could have done say 70, 75 plus 60, whatever that is, 75 plus 60, can't think, 145 or something pips, yeah, and risk-free as well. And that's,
so,
that's why
Sarah,
I love the strategy.
Sorry, are you watching this on the 5 minute, or are you watching this on the 1 minute?
This one, when I was in here, I was on the 1 minute. If I'd been sat in it to do this stacking, which I wasn't because I went to bed after 30 pips, and then I drew it up to put in the group to show people the channel, then I would have watched it on the 5 or 15, and I would have put alerts on to come back to it or I would have been doing something else. It just depends how long it's going to run, but this one ran quite quickly. you know, because
Yeah.
you know, you need to be, but you don't want to be watching it on the 1 minute. You don't need to, you know, it's too small a time frame for watching
Yeah,
it when you're
because
unstacking in.
the 5 minute could be coming down, but and within the 5 minute, you know, you have the 1 minute and that could be going up, and
Exactly.
you got to watch.
Yeah, because this is on the 1 minute, and I bet that's sometimes that isn't on the hour. I was going to say I bet that's an hourly candle, but it isn't. So it spiked up on the half hour, and if you hadn't let it room to breathe where that previous high is and left it above the 62, then it would have taken you out of the trade. But you still would have done pretty well. You know, that's still another, sorry, the system's so slow, I can't do it that accurately, but that's still another 35 pips at that point. So
But positive pips are better than negative pips. So that way.
They are, but only if you've got the right risk to reward. I don't care about pips. I care about percentage compound growth on my account. And you know, and yes, you have to fit in with your trading style. You know, some people like to swing long trades and have 30, 50 pip stop losses. But if you'd taken this trade on a bigger time frame, like some people do, where you'd had a 50 pip stop loss, your risk to reward would not have been as high as this. Because here you've got a nearly 1 to 5 on that one with a 15 pip stop loss, and on this one you've got the same again. And if you took that on a hard time frame, it would not have been that profitable.
How do you determine where you place your stop loss on these?
Because I've got a precise entry. So hang on. So if my quarter theory would turn on, I can't get quarter theory turn on, but it's that alert line. So I'm waiting here. It's stalled out. So normally I'll wait for a break and a retest of 10 pips and get in on the retest, and that's how I can get that 15 pip stop loss. This did not break and retest, but the 62 crossed the 15 minute. So that was my indication to get in. Yeah.
So you're using more support resistance lines to see.
Well, I use the 62 EMA as a rolling line of support and resistance. That's what it is. It's a rolling line of support and resistance. And quarter theory is an aggressive line of support and resistance. So if it would switch on, which I can't seem to get it to highlight on the 1 minute.
Yeah, you have a lot of good videos that people could watch. How you set this up.
Well, I need to do more because I've got videos to do on what a channel, how to recognize channels within different time frames and the reversals where the channel reverses. I need to do one on the 62 EMA specifically, one on the 1 minute trend break, one on the Fibonacci that I use, which is 88.6 and 61.8, and one on quarter. I've done one on quarter theory. I've done that one, and I've done the one on how to draw the harmonic scan. So I want to do.
Where could we see the quarter theory one? Because I'm still unsure. There's quite a few on TradingView. I'm not sure which one to use.
Yes, I've got one on quarter theory that I've done. The one that you want is this one. I've done one in my group, which is I'll put it in the Ninja Forex traders units. I think I'm unit number something like 17 or something. I can add it in there. And it's in my group, which is the Ninja Forex Traders Dreamworks. I don't know if you guys are in that. There is one on quarter theory now. I have done one in there. The one that you want is this one, automatic quarters theory lines.
Right, automatic, yeah.
That one. And the setting is, hang on, let's come here. Just aware of time. The setting is, oh God, so slow. There, just that will come up as default 100-111. If you want to take a screenshot of that.
1 second.
And then on the style, perversely, you uncheck all the quarters, which would be the 25 point. Don't use those. We just use the halves. So it's 50 pip increments on your quarter theory. So it's the majors and the halves.
Right.
And make them all the same color. I make them all orange. And you don't attach any more importance to one level than another because they're all exactly the same.
Right.
So this has come up on the 5 minute. I can't get it to come up on the 1 minute. But you can see how quarter theory how price respects or rejects quarter theory.
And the other one, Sarah, I know I'm pretty new to this, is you've got the EMA on the 62, is that on the 1 minute?
That's the 1 minute EMA, yeah.
And now, what's the other one?
The other one is showing the 1 minute EMA, but as if it was on the 15-minute time frame. So as soon as it crosses that 15-minute line, it's a 9:30 length here, inputs 9:30 length, and that you arrive at that by 62, which is your 1 minute EMA, 62 times 15, which is 15 minute for the 15-minute time frame. That gives you 9:30.
Right. So we just put those inputs on an EMA, and it will come up like that on the chart.
Yes, and the one that I use is indicators is moving average exponential, it's called.
The EMA, yeah.
Moving average exponential is the one that you want. And I find that just incredibly powerful because it gives you the momentum in the market. So if we go back to that Euro GBP one, some people said they were stopped out. Well, I wouldn't have got in that trade anyway, simply on the basis I would have seen the 62 was still going down. You see what I mean? So it hasn't turned yet. It's still pressing.
Still below.
It's pushing, it's put very simply, it's pushing down on price. So if it's, price will always want to suck back onto the 62 or the 50. Some people use the 50. See how it's stalled out there? Just always comes back to the 62. Whilst price is underneath it, it's pushing it down for the sell. And once here, like here, the 62, that's a lovely little example there. It's crossed up above, so price is above for a buy. And here you'd come out the trade because it's coming underneath, depending on how you're swinging your trade. And sometimes when we see a retracement like here, that's price coming back to test the 15-minute, test the 15-minute, test the 15-minute, stall out, and then it starts its move. It's dropped down. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So that was the GBP trade, and then the other one, just to round off, was there were two others last night. One was USD CAD. Now I went to bed, but I'd marked up the chart. It was one of the streams I did on TradingView. So that was the. Let's see if I can get the screen to move up. So there's the D point here. I marked a channel because I thought it'd be simpler with all these squiggly lines to show it in the group, just to post it for people. So price has crossed above the 62's crossed above. There's one confirmation. We've had a break and a retest of the D point. If it's a pip or two off in a $6.6 trillion a day market, I consider that a touch. Price has come up, stalled out, tried to fake us out here. There it says 21.55. That's the hourly fake out, 10 minutes before, 10 minutes after. There's the gap in the, sorry, that's Friday. There's the gap in the market. So the 62 comes up. So I was marking it up at this point. I said on my stream, I didn't know if it was going to do that, come back and test back down. It didn't, but when I went to bed, I'd marked the channel and I could see it was doing all this stalling. And I said, you know, it looks to me like it was going to buy. So it comes all the way along, still sucks on the 62 the whole time, and quarter theory, does a fake out before London, which is where you get fake outs before London. You'll get your fake outs. So there it is below the 62, doesn't quite come down to touch quarter theory. And this is a big scan, remember. So the gap between each leg of this pitchfork is 120, 180, sorry, measured that exactly, correctly. Take it off there. This is a big scan, 170. So I can't wait. One of my confirmations is it must have a pitchfork touch. I can't wait for a pitchfork touch or I'll miss all these trades in between. And it's at that point I take trades off quarter theory. So here it's stalled along. See how much it came down. So that would have caught people out quite badly. But because it breaks down under the 15-minute, you would not, and under quarter theory, I would have known not to have got into that for a buy, because that would have taken out, that's 40 pips. 40 pips there would take people out on their stop losses if they were coming in this on a buy. So look, it crosses, the 62 crosses above the 15-minute and quarter theory. Perfect entry point for the buy there. Here, you've got enough here for the buy. On the 1 minute, you could have got away with a 10 pip. We'll finish on this point. You could have got away with a 10 pip stop loss here on the 1 minute. So that's on quarter theory at, just needs to be above there, somewhere like that. 10 pip stop loss there. Keep in it whilst it's doing that, and then here you've got to make a decision because it drops under. But what you would do, that's the quickest way to do this, is draw your 1 minute trend and make sure that it is staying above the 1 minute trend. That should give you the confidence to stay in the trade, and then you would have got, trying to get trying to show you this accurately. How would I have drawn that? You want at least 3 touches. So to be fair, I would have taken it from down there. So at this point, I sometimes check the 15-minute candle close and the half-hour candle close. I probably would have stayed in that trade, but I would have been watching it very carefully there. And then you've got 50 pips, so that's a ratio of 1 to 5 on that trade. If you weren't confident enough to stay in, this is an alert line, but I'll 5, so up to 7, that would have actually given you your 20 pips anyway, anywhere along that point. So you would have still got your 1 to 2 there. So you've got your 20 pips, and that's why I like the precise entry. That's what I do. That's what I do all day, every day, is just my 10 to 20. And that I've got enough confirmations there off that crossover, the break and retest off quarter theory, to have got in that for 20 pips with a 10 pip stop loss, and could have stacked in, could have taken your 20, or could have opened another one at that point, depending on how you wanted to do it. Once it does the break and the retest, and you've got a pitchfork there, price will move between levels. So you've got another 50 pips up to that next level up there. And look at that, all the way above the 62, and now the 62. Sorry about the glitches with the vertical line. It's just trading view glitching when it price crosses quarter theory. And you can see it's dropped down below that 1 minute trend line. So that's your signal. Don't be greedy, secure the bag. You know, you've got another 50 pips there all the way above. As soon as you see it stalling and breaking below the 62, get out the trade. And that's what I do. Okay, so time's up for today. Don't want to be late for Sharon. You've got Les at 7, and you've got Sarah doing BYOB for new people at 3 p.m, just after Sharon, I think that is. So I hope you found that helpful today.
Thanks,
Brilliant.
Sarah.
Thank you. Brilliant.
You're very welcome, and thanks for joining. And once we've got the extended desktop, I'll be able to see you all and get a bit more interaction going, which would be nice. So I hope that was helpful.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you. Just a
Okay.
quick one. How many
Yeah.
trades roughly a day do you do using this theory?
Well, I only did one this morning, early hours of this morning. I did that GBP JPY for 30 pips, so I haven't bothered with any more today. My daily goal is 25 pips. I just plod along. I do a trade goal of 20, a daily goal of 25, and I aim for 9% growth a week, 33 a month, 100 a quarter, 400 a year. Sometimes I get into more of it and I want to do more of it, and other days I just do one or two, depending on what, because I've got several other Zoom calls today. I didn't mean to get in a trade in the early hours of the morning, but I did. So, and it's Monday and the markets are quite volatile. So
Yeah.
I left it alone after that. So it varies. Sometimes I'll do 3 or 4. Today I've done 1 and I'm not fussed about doing another one. And I watched Paul's this morning. I watched a little bit of David's. I've got 2 other people to talk to now. You know what I mean? It's I'm going on Sharon's session with someone else because they want to, and then I'm going to do C Trader with someone, and then I've got another call. So kind of get busy with other things someday.
Busy.
Yeah.
Thank you very much anyway.
Oh, you're very welcome. Great to see you all.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay. Bye. Bye.